Star Cuisine.
4:30.
Evil Empire, New York's down south of Florida. For cheap, 1,000 grams, uncut.
That bitch so low down, Benny Jesuit.
What's up, everybody? It's JCat, and welcome to part 2 of the Make Your Own Hack in Roblox tutorial. So today we're going to be talking more about UIs and making your own menu, and I'm going to show you a few tricks and functions to get your menu working, and then we're going to add some basic features in. So there's a couple different ways you can do a menu. You can do a key controlled menu, which is a lot more advanced than just doing a mouse controlled menu, because in Roblox by default a lot of the UI is already controlled by your mouse. So we're going to make a mouse controlled UI today, and if you didn't see the last video, then I would recommend checking it out, because it explains a lot of the basics of instancing and changing properties, which is the majority of what we're going to be doing today. So let's start off by making the main frame for our menu, and then we're going to make a couple different tabs, and then a toggle button and some basic things you'll need. So let's start by instancing our screen GUI, and let's create a folder as well. So let's make a folder equals instance.new folder, and this is just a basic folder, contains things just so we can put all of our menu UIs in there. We're only going to be using one menu UI today, but in the future, if you had more, like a watermark and a crosshair and things like that, then you could put them in there as well. So we have our folder, and now let's make our screen GUI. So menu UI equals instance.new screen GUI, and then let's parent that to the folder here, and then the mainframe equals instance.new frame parented to the menu UI. And then, as we learned in the last video, we have to parent this to game.players.localPlayer.player GUI, and then let's make a couple more things here. So let's space these out first of all, just to make it a little bit easier to read. And let's see, let's add a title for a menu as well. So menu title equals instance.new text label, and then we're going to parent that to the main frame here. And again, if you want to see all of the options you have, you can look under here in the UI. Generally they want you to add a screen GUI and a frame first, and then it'll show you all the common things frequently used right here. Text box, buttons, labels we're all going to be using those today. And then image labels, you can stick images in your game. Local script we won't be needing, since we're doing all of our coding from one script anyway. And then image buttons, which can be useful if you want to be more custom with your menu. But let's also add a secondary frame. Secondary frame equals instance.new frame, and then parented to the menu UI as well. And let's make a two more things, or actually technically 3 more. So let's make our main frame. Instead, let's have tab 1 and tab 2. And let's have our main frame hold our tab buttons so that we can switch between tabs. Let me get rid of that as well. So main frame equals instance.new frame parented to the menu UI, and then close that off. And then instead, these will be parented to the main frame. And then let's make our tab buttons right here. So tab button 1, and then tab button 2, and then equals instance dot new, and now we're going to be using a text button parented to the mainframe. And now let's get to setting our properties. So first of all, the folder, I'm not going to do anything. Maybe I'll give it a name, but that's not really important, so I'm not going to worry about that right this second yet. Let's start with a mainframe and make that. So mainframe dot, let's start with the position. So dot position equals enum2 dot new, and then let's do 0.5, 0. Or 0, 0.5, 0, and then let's make that the center by anchoring it. So anchor point, as we learned in the other video, equals vector2 dot new 0.5, 0.5, and then mainframe dot size, another enum2 dot new, and then let's see, 0 by our length is going to be, let's do 600 by 0 by 100, or let's do 150, and then mainframe dot background, no, background color 3 equals color 3 dot from RGB. And what color do we want our menu to be? Let's make it like a deepish blue. So to do that, we're gonna do 100, 100, and then 255. So the next thing that we're gonna do is mainframe dot border size pixel. I think it's all capitals. Border size pixel, like that. And then let's make it 3 pixels big. And then mainframe, or actually, no, let's make it an even number because that'll be easier to work with when we put our tabs in. And then let's do mainframe.active and mainframe.draggable. And then we're going to set these to true. What I'm doing there is I'm pressing Alt and clicking so I can click multiple lines because these are just going to be both equal true anyway. So next, let's work on our first tab, and we're going to do tab1 dot anchor point equals vector2 dot new 0.5, 0.5. Tab1 dot position equals udem2 dot new, and then actually let's take away the anchor point being 0.5 on vertical, and then we're gonna do 0.5, 0, 1, 0, so that should make it at the bottom. And then tab1 dot size equals udem2 dot new, and let's do 0 by 600 by 0 by 800, and let's see how that looks real quick. So when we paste that in, now you can see there's going to be our menu where we can hold all of our different options, and tab1 dot background color 3 equals, and let's make a quick variable up here for our color. So BG, we're going to call it BG color equals color 3 dot from RGB, 100, 100, and then 255. So now you can just set these to BG color, and it'll be a lot faster to type out BG color. And then tab1 dot border size pixel equals 4, and then let's not make it active and draggable, because what that's gonna do is make it so that both of our things are draggable. We just want it to be draggable from this top point, not the menu itself, because then you can just drag it all over the place, and it's not going to be good. But as you can see, we put those two together, and let's give our menu a title now, because we made that little menu title label. Dot background, and let's change the transparency equals 1, and then menu title dot text equals my menu. Let's put a space there as well. Now you can see we have our text, my menu. It's a little bit small, so let's make it bigger. Menu equals 0. and then let's see how that looks. Alright, so now we have a little title, and we have a couple of buttons that we're working with here. So let's set up tab 2 to be the same as tab 1 real quick. We want these to be the exact same, but we're going to change one thing on tab 2, and that's the visibility. So tab 2 dot visible equals false, because we don't want it to be active by default. We want this one to be active by default. And let's make a second menu title as well. And now we've made this entire menu, and all it does is sit there and look pretty. It doesn't actually function yet. Besides dragging it around and having those buttons there. But let's make those buttons actually function. So to start, we need to do tab 1 tab button 1, sorry, dot mouse button 1 click. And then what we're going to do is connect a function here. When you connect a function, this can be either a pre-made function by saying connect function connect, and then you write your function here, but we're not going to be doing that. We're just going to be making a entirely new function. So we're going to say connect function, and then remove one of these, and then put an end here just to close that parenthesis, put a right parenthesis on the end. So it should look exactly like that. And what we're going to say for this is tab 1 dot visible equals false, tab 2 dot visible equals true, or other way around, true and false. Tab 1 dot visible equals false, tab 2 dot visible equals true. So now this would technically work, but since these are the same, let's change the text just so you can see that it actually works real quick. Alright, so now you can see you have your menu, it's navigatable, and let's make a close and open for it. So this is where things start to get a little more advanced. I'm going to try and explain everything to the best of my ability, but cannot guarantee that it's going to be perfect. So what we're going to do is we're going to wait for a specific button to be pressed, and when that button is pressed, we want to close or open the menu. So we start off by saying game, and then we want to get a service. So there's a function on Roblox by default called get service, and then you have to the first argument is going to be the name of the service, and what we're looking for is called the user input service. And then we want to say there's a default thing that comes after this that says input began. You can find this all in documentation. It's very hard to explain how to, like, what everything means or why it's the way it is, but input began, and then you're going to connect a function the same way we did before, so with a colon, and then connect, and then function, and then just like that. Now we have called the user input service, and then let's also add a argument here called input. So now we're going to say if this input input.keycode, so input.keycode equals enum. Now we're getting into enums, which is what I wrote at the beginning of the video but didn't mean to. And these are basically just a list of settings that you can choose from, or list of different, in this case, keys. Enum.keycode dot, and then let's look up keycode enums. As you can see, I've searched it before, but if you find the keycode enum documentation, there's values or the name of all of the different keys. As you can see, the letter keys are just the keys themselves, or I'm going to specifically use insert for my menu. You can look up any key you want and use it here, but as you can see, the name for it is just insert. So insert enum.keycode.insert, and we want to make this an if statement. So if input.keycode equals 2 equals there, because it's an if statement, enum.keycode.insert, then we want to change the visibility of our menu. So we're going to say, let's just take the entire UI that we created here, the menu UI, and say menu UI dot enabled equals not menu UI dot enabled. And what this is doing is saying it's just changing it to the opposite of what it currently is. So it's equal to whatever it's not currently set to. So it just changes it to the opposite. And then end. And then that should just toggle our menu whenever we need. I didn't see any errors. And yeah, as you can see, whenever I press enter, the menu toggles completely, and all of our positioning, the current tab that's open, everything saves and reopens the same as it was. Let's do some organization real quick. By doing -- you can do a comment and then add whatever you want. So let's space things out. Let's say variables are right here, and then our instances are right here, and then our properties are right here. So properties.
I ain't pressing it. The muad'Dib of such things, the weight they ain't bearing it. Well done.
Now we're going to be adding features. We finished our menu. Everything works. So let's get into adding how you can add some basic features. And there's going to be 3 different ones that we do in this video, which is going to be a save and load position, super basic, a walk speed changer, also very basic, and a night mode changer, which is also very basic. So let's start with the night mode. And what we're going to do is instance a new text button. And let's do it. Where do we want to do it? Just down here. So we're going to say, oh, let me space that out as well. Feature, let's just call it night mode. So night mode equals instance.new, and let's actually call it night mode button. Instance.new text button, just so we can keep track of things easier. And let's parent it to tab 1. And then again, call it night mode button, so we know that this is the actual button for it, and we don't get confused later on if we were to make a true or false variable, which we will. And then let's add a table for settings as well. So tables, and then we're going to make a settings table equals, do our squiggly brackets as we learned in the first video, and then we're going to say night mode equals false currently, and put a comma there, and then we'll do our other 2 features later on. But now we have our night mode button created, and we just need to give it some basic positioning. I just realized as well that that's actually going to be a lighter version, not a darker version, so let's change that around. And now it looks right. Now it's a darker blue. And let's do 50 for one last change, just to make it visibly different, but not too much different. And then we have that label to create after, and that shouldn't be too hard. So night mode button title dot anchor point equals I meant to actually do 1 on the first position, so change that around. I haven't made a UI in a long time, so that's why I'm struggling a little bit here. I'm also just very tired right now. And I did want to change the text color. I didn't realize that it was dark by default, but text color 3 equals, let's just make a variable for, or not, let's not do that, but you could do that. Color 3 dot new, or from RGB, sorry, 255, 255, 255. And now we have our first text button with the night mode here. And now let's make a function for the night mode itself. So let's create a new function called night mode, and then parentheses, and then we're going to say if settings table dot night mode, then what we want to do is we want to reference our game's lighting. So in the default game.lighting, we can change the time. By default, it's 14. If we set it to 0, it'll set it to midnight. So if settings.table.night mode, then we want to say game without a capital dot lighting dot clock time, is it? Yeah, clock time equals 0. And then else, if it's not enabled, then game dot lighting dot clock time equals 14, which is the default value, and then end, and that's all we need to do there. And then under our button over here, we want to say night mode button dot mouse button 1 click connect a function, and then end that function real quick, and then we can put our code in here. So to explain something else, assuming you know how to path at least to the properties of the game's lighting, if you are doing an if statement and you want to say if something's true, then all you have to say is if that setting, then you don't have to say equals true. And if you wanted to say false, then you could say if not. And then obviously if it's not true, then it's going to be false, so we don't need to do an else if statement. We just say else and then end those the if statement in the function there. And now what we need to do under our button, the first thing we want to do is change the text of the button so that we know that it's enabled, right? So we say night mode button dot text equals, and then let's grab a check mark off Google real quick, check mark, and then just copy that first one and then put it in there. And then let's actually do an if statement as well here. If night mode, then we want to change the text, else night mode button dot text equals nothing, and then end that. And then the first thing that we're going to do is toggle night mode so that it doesn't mess up our button. So we say if settings table dot night mode, and then we say settings table dot night mode equals true, not two equals, just one, true. So we've set it, changed our text, and then the last thing we're going to do is call the night mode function. So night mode, just like that. And let's go ahead and give this a test. So by default, the clock time should be 14. And then when we play the game, if we click on night mode, as you can see, we get a little check mark in the box. Everything turns to night. And if we click it again, we run into an error that just breaks the game completely. I see why. So it doesn't disable it. So not settings table dot night mode. That was a stupid accident. But now we should be able to switch between them. And as you can see, the text changes. And that's how you do a basic checkbox feature for your cheat. So the next thing that we're going to be adding is our save and load position buttons. So let's go over here and let's do these on tab 2. So save pos button equals instance.new text button, and then we're going to parent it to tab 2, and then we're going to do a load pos button equals instance.new as well a text button parented to tab 2. Now the other thing we can do is give these UI corners It's not really worth it to show you, but you would do save pos button UI corner. If that's what you wanted to name it, you can name it whatever you want, equals instance.new UI corner, parented to the save pos button. And then you would say, I might as well just go through with it at this point, but the property for it would be save pos button UI corner dot corner radius. I actually like the default one, but corner radius is the property for it if you want to change how strong that corner is, if you want to change it to a circle or just keep it as is. But I'm just going to go ahead and remove that. That's just something to make it look a little nicer, but we don't need that for this tutorial. So down here, let's make the button itself. So save pos button dot anchor points equals vector2 dot new 0.5 0.5, and then save pos button dot position equals udem2 dot new. Then we're gonna do 0.2 to the right 0, and then 0.3 down. That should be enough. And then save. Oh wait, I need to do one more 0 in there. Whoops. Save pos button dot size equals udem2 dot new 0 by. Let's do it by left and right. 100 0 50 0, and then save pos button dot background color 3 equals set color. Save pos button dot text equals save position, and then save pos button dot text color 3 equals color 3 dot from RGB 255 255 255. Save pos button dot text scaled equals true, and then that should be all that we really need. Let's take a look at it. Oh, something's wrong here. Hold on. No errors. Oh, it's parented to tab 2. That's why. So now we have our save position button, and we'll make the load pos button the same, but we're going to move it down to 0.3, and this one's going to be at 0.2, and then we're going to call it load position instead. So load position, and then change all of these to load pos button. Stick that in there, and now we have a save and load position button. So let's go up again to our table that we made, and let's add a setting called saved position equals nil. And then under our functions, we're going to create a function called save pos, or we can actually call it teleport. Yeah, so we're going to need two different functions here. Let's just not make a function for this one, and let's just do it under the button. So under the save pos button dot mouse button one click, connect that function, and then we're just making a custom function here. And what we're going to have it do is say settings table dot saved position equals, and now we have to get the player's position, so we would do that by getting the game.player.localplayer.character.cframe, but we can't do it of the character's model, so we have to do a specific part, and we're going to choose the humanoid root part, because if you change the humanoid root part's C-frame, then it will change the entire character's C-frame, as you will see right here. C-frame let's do 3, 0, 3, and as you can see, the entire character moved. But let's save the C frame, and how we would do that, we go into our pathing, as you can see here, game.workspace, and then we want to get we get the player's character by going to game.players.localplayer.character, and now you have skipped the game.workspace and you've just gotten the character itself right here. And we want to get the humanoid root part, so .humanoid roots part, and then we want to get that property C-frame, so .C-frame, and now we have saved the position. And then down here, load pause button .mouse button one click, connect another function, end that function, and then we say the same thing over here. Let's make another variable for this actually. Variable char pos equals, and then down here, where were we? On this char pos, and then down here we say char pos equals settings table dot saved position. So to explain what we're doing here, again, when it's clicked, when this save pos button is clicked, we want to connect a function. That what that function is going to do is it's going to go into the saved position and set it to the character's position, which the character's position is pathed to the character's humanoid repart.c frame. And then when we load the position, what we're doing is another function that says now the character's position should be equal to our saved position that we made in the settings table. So let's go ahead and try this out real quick. And just to make it more obvious, I'm going to make a spawn. So let me get out of here. Make a spawn. Where is spawn? Spawn. And then we're going to make a part. And then we're going to scale it up. And then when we load into our game, let's find that part real quick. So it's right here. So if we go to the left side of this part, and then we click save position, and then we go to the right side of the part, and then we click load position, what's our error here? What is going on here? I think I see why it's doing that. So I made a mistake here. You actually can't do that because that'll just change your variable. You'd have to remove C-frame from this, and then if you said down here charpos.cframe, so all you can do is get the path to the thing that you want, and then you have to name the property itself. So if we go down here and then we say charpos.cframe, then we're changing the property instead of just the variable. So before we were changing the actual variable that we made, now we're changing the property of that variable instead, which will make it work. So let's go ahead and try it out. Again, on the left side over here, we're going to save that position, and on the right side, if we load that position, it brings us back over there. And it'll save your orientation too, unless you're in first person. Another thing that I should have explained earlier is there's I believe it's in Screen GUI, and there's a property called modal. Is it under here, or maybe it's under the frame actually? Modal, where is it? So we're gonna have to put it under one of our text buttons for whatever reason. That's very weird. But what this does is say if the so tab button 1, if the UI button is visible, then the mouse will not be locked. So when we scroll in, as you can see, the mouse is not locked. But if we close our menu, then the mouse is locked again, unless we go in third person. So that's just a useful little thing for navigating your menu while you're in first person. And let's get on to our last feature, which is going to be a walk speed changer. So again, to let you know that this code is very poorly optimized. You would be normally creating all these things with functions, so you would just have to make one function, and then you could, or not one function, you'd make a couple functions, and then you can make the tab buttons, the tabs, all your features, all the titles for your features, all under one thing, so you wouldn't have to do it over and over and over again. But just for this tutorial's purpose, I just wanted to show you how to do everything, and then you should be able to figure out functions pretty easily. What you would do is you'd create a function like create, you want to say your tabs, because these only have a couple properties. These should be pretty easy. Create tab, and then you would put all of your properties that you want in there. So you want the anchor point, the position, the size, the background color 3, and the border size pixel. And if you wanted anything, if you needed anything to be changed, like let's say you were creating tab buttons, you need the position to be changed, you can just say this left and right position right here. You can create a parameter and then put it down in there, and then you can make the argument when you run the function itself. But it's pretty easy to figure out once you understand functions and parameters and arguments. But going back over here, let's now create our walk speed text box is what it's going to be. So last one, walk speed button, or yeah, let's call it button for now, equals instance.new. And this is going to be a text box where we allow the player to input their own text, and we are going to read that text and set the walk speed to the number that is inputted. So let's put it under tab 1, and then walk speed button title equals instance.new, text label this time, so it's not editable by the player, and then parent that to the walk speed button, and that should be all we need. Let's go down here and make it basically the same as our night mode button. The title is going to be the same. So down here, just change this around to our what's it called? What are we? Walk speed button title. And then for our walk speed button, let's set our properties. So walk speed button dot anchor point equals vector2.new 0.5 0.5. Walk speed button dot position equals udem2.new, and then we're going to do, instead of 0.2 0.2, we're going to do 0.2 0.3, so it's a little bit lower than our other button. And then walk speed button dot size equals udem2.new 0 by 50 by 0 by 50, and then pretty much everything else is going to be the same here. So let's put this in and then just change these all around. And let's set the text to the player's default walk speed. So what we're going to do is say toString, because it's a number value and we're trying to put it on a GUI. And let's see how we get the player's walk speed. So we already know to get the player's character, we have to go game.players and then .localPlayer.character, and then that brings us to this point. And where is our walk speed stored? It's under the humanoid, and it's a property of the humanoid, as you can see right here, walk speed. So to set the walk speed text to the default value, we want to say toString game.players.localPlayer.character humanoid humanoid dot walk speed, and I believe they're both capitalized. They are both capitalized. So that'll set it toString and then the number. So it should say 16 by default, unless we change that default value in our game, then it would be different. And as you can see, it says 16. And now we got to make our walk speed button title let's see what's going on here. Instead of night mode, we want to say walk speed. And now it's set to walk speed instead of just saying night mode twice. And how are we going to get the game to read the player's input? So when you're working with text boxes, instead of a mouse button one click, what you're looking for is dot focus lost. So walk speed button dot focus lost. And then we're going to connect the function, and that basically means when the player presses enter or is done editing the text, we are going to make a function that what it does is it sets the character's walk speed, game.players.localplayer.character.humanoid.walk speed equals walk speed button dot text. Now, there are ways to do checks if it's a number or not, because if it's not a number, what it's going to do is throw an error in your console because you're trying to set the walk speed to text, which just doesn't work. That's not how the game works, obviously. So when we load up the game, as you can see, if we put 32 in here, our walk speed will be increased, and if we put 100 in here, it'll be increased again. And it'll be whatever we set it to, but set it back. Let's try to set it to a letter. So now our walk speed has been set to nothing, and then value of type string cannot be converted to a number. So it actually throws a warning, not an error, but still it breaks your character, doesn't work. So you need to set that to a number with no spaces, and then it'll be whatever you want it to be. But yeah, that's how you make your own menu and add in some basic features. Next video we'll get into making an ESP, which will utilize the players part, and we're going to get all the players and we're going to put a UI on them, and it's a little more advanced. We're going to be doing 4 in-pair loops. We're going to be doing in-pair loops. And we'll explain that when we get to there. But for now, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Sorry it was a little long, and sorry if I didn't explain anything well. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments below. I'm willing to give out my Discord and help people who are trying to make their own script. But yeah, there you go. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.